You're listening to the Airhug Community Podcast. Hello there and welcome or welcome back. If you are new here, this is the Airhug Community Podcast and I am your host, Judy. I am a midlife lady who is someone who loves to share stories from myself and special guests that reflect on just how midlife really goes, not how we think it should go. We talk about the good, the bad, the messy, the ugly, the wonderful, all the emotions. And this is a place where we actually can grow from our experiences. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Airhug Community Podcast. It's just me today, and I've got a great episode, I think. I think this is something that needs to be pointed out because there's a lot of confusion out there, and I've had a lot of people come to me with confusion about this. The fact is that fitness, fads, and trends can be really hard to separate from facts, right? And particularly what you see on social media channels can be either one, they can be fad or they can be fact. And more often, though, the trends and fads are what show up. And my feeling is these show up because people look at them longer, and the longer they look at them, the more likely they are to show up in the algorithm. At least that's how I understand it. Anyways, I wanted to set the record straight on some things, especially in reference to fads versus what really works. Because fads are entertainment, right? Social media, strange workout exercises are clearly entertainment. And do they work? Maybe, probably. The thing is, the person you're seeing doing them may have rehearsed it for God knows how many times to get it really good. And they've been really working at things for a long time versus someone who just pops open Instagram and says, oh, I think I'll try this at the gym, right? So I really wanted to bring this up. Let's talk about two influential people in the fitness world. One is, and the reason I do this is because they both have a different take on the same concept that I want to talk about today that is relevant to actually working out to make your body change versus just working out to feel like you're working hard. Because the fact of the matter is a lot of times we can feel like we're working our ass off and we're not really doing anything to get better. And that can be so frustrated. And obviously nobody has time to waste doing that. So these two people are Joe Weider and Tony Horton. So Joe Weider is widely considered to be the father of the competitive bodybuilding world. And Tony Horton is the father of things like P90X and Insanity. So Joe Weider is known for his principles of training that really got results. He's well respected. He has several principles. Tony is known for immortalizing one of these principles, and the principle is called muscle confusion. So, I like to say that muscle confusion is not a thing, but if you look at it the way Joe Weider intended you to look at it, it actually is a thing. So I was all ready to do that until I found his principle. So his principle on muscle confusion is not the way that Tony talks about it. What he says is that in order for a muscle to grow, it needs to be exposed to different stimuli. Okay, we can all agree on that. But Tony Horton took it to an extreme to market his programs. So, for example, you don't need to do 12 different push-up variations in a single workout. But, he wants to confuse your muscles. And he has people buying into the fact that you have to do things, 17 different ways in a different way every time, when that's actually not the truth. So here's the truth. The body actually does seek homeostasis. AKA, it likes to be comfortable, all right? But to build muscle, you need to get uncomfortable. So, and we're not talking about being a bodybuilder here. We're just talking about holding on to muscle that we have so that we don't get weak and unfit and unhealthy. So I just want to point that out. If you're a bodybuilder, that's great. You can still listen to this, but I'm talking to the masses of people, like most of us, who really just want to have the best body they can and stay healthy. So I like to point that out. So you can build muscle and get uncomfortable by changing many things. You can change the weight that you put on the bar, or the size of the dumbbell you pick up, or the strength of the resistance band, or if you're using a TRX, the angle at which your body is relative to the floor and the anchor. Or you can do it by changing the reps, the sets, the frequency, or the tempo. There are so many things that you can do, all right? So muscle confusion, the way it's intended to be, is periodic switching up of a program, forcing your body to have to adapt to the changes, all right? However, the key word here is periodic. The optimal amount to stick to a program is somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. You don't have to switch it up and do like 17 varieties of something in one workout, or even switch up every single workout. So if you stick, in our gym, we stick to, I'm going to say 4-ish. Sometimes we do 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, to avoid like mental stagnation. 6 weeks is a bit long. I notice people getting like really antsy at 6 weeks. But I really don't like to go less than 3, and ideally 4. So any less than that, and you're really not going to get results. So, I'm sorry to Tony and the CrossFit workout of the day people, but you really do need to repeat workouts in order to get stronger. And then when you get to a plateau, which I'll talk about in a minute, then it's time to change your program. So the thing is, these workouts that constantly change, they feel intense, but the thing is, they're not delivering the same benefits. And I don't mean to be bashing anything, but I want you to understand, if you're going to put the time in to do a workout, you really want it to be effective, right? We don't want to waste our time. And what we perceive to be an effective workout is not necessarily an effective workout. So muscle confusion is very, very hyped up, and has been for several years. And I will tell you that I bought into it myself when I was a new trainer. I thought it was important to give my people variety, and perhaps for a few years at the very beginning, I probably overdid it. Sorry to my clients who were the first ones around if you're not with me anymore. If you've stuck with me, thank you for sticking with me. As you know, I continue to learn every year. Anyways, muscle confusion, as it is explained to misses, that we need to be consistent. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. We need to be consistent before we add in a change. And this is why I like to say that boring is better. Now, there is something called progressive overload. And I alluded to it a few minutes ago, where you actually change things like the weight, the sets, the reps, the time under tension. Maybe you're going to slow the tempo down. Maybe you're going to add some power in between, or maybe you're going to change the amount of rest period. All those things can help you progress to increasing your volume over time. So what happens when you hit a plateau? Okay, well, what exactly is a plateau? Let's start right there, because I like to make that distinction, because a lot of people think they're at a plateau when they may not necessarily be. Okay, so a plateau is when you're not getting stronger or leaner, depending on your goals, despite a consistent program and an appropriate nutrition plan. We must take diet into account. So you could be very consistent in the gym, but your diet doesn't match it, and so you may not be getting any leaner. That's the example I'm trying to make. So assuming that your diet is on point, and if you're serious about body improvement, you need to be serious about your nutrition as well. So I'm not saying to go overboard on indulgence or overboard on restriction, but you need to actually be serious about what you're feeding your body if you expect to get results. Okay, so if you're in a real plateau, as defined by what I just told you, then you could definitely benefit from a program change. So, like I said, I tend to put in program changes every 4-ish weeks or so. So the best in most programs will use some type of progressive overload, like I just told you. All right. So weights, sets, reps, frequency, tempo, rest periods. you can't increase them all the time, right? Because at some point you're not going to be able, you won't get strong enough to meet the changes you're having. So this is where something called a deload can help. So what is a deload? It's simply like a rest week. So I will tell you that I actually don't program any deloads in for my clients, because basically deloads happen because of life. You know, life provides it very nicely for us. We have vacations, unexpected interruptions, family needs, illnesses, all those things. And I'm willing to bet, after watching and training women for the last 13 years, these things happen naturally, so we don't really have to worry about it. So anyways, what about those crazy fad exercises on social media? I just want to get back to say that, remember, the people who do them have really practiced them, and it's really important not to compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 17 in their sequel book, right? You're not comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So not everything you see is a good idea, such as, doing overhead presses while standing on a Bosu on one leg. That's just stupid. It might be very entertaining, but there really is no benefit to that, okay, long term. So the most important thing when you're training is to follow the basic movement patterns and to get them in twice per week consistently. And you can do this through, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 workouts a week. So you don't have to do your whole body every time. Of course, if you're only training twice a week, then you probably do want to do full body. So those patterns are push, pull, squat, hinge, lunge, and carry. Notice I said movement patterns and not body parts. And the reference for this is Dr. John Russin and his pain-free performance training program, of which I'm a certified person. But anyways, these are the things that you need to train, and these are the things that are going to keep you healthy, pain-free, and at the lowest risk for injury. Yay! So there are literally infinite ways that you can combine these into patterns to train, again, from 2 days a week all the way up to 5 or 6 days a week. And what about cardio? You can do cardio, in addition to these workouts, on days separate from these workouts. Some of these workouts will be cardio in nature, more conditioning workouts. So there's so many ways to do this. But what I just want to say is that, can I just tell you, I had like pages and pages of notes here for brainstorming titles, and there's so many that I wanted to say, like changing your body, boring is better. Getting fit, boring is better. The next big thing in fitness is boring, or why you need to ignore exercise fads, or exercise fads are hurting you. By now I think you get the point. And that's like 5 out of like 30 that I came up with as a title for this. But here's another one. Where will being boring get you a year from now? So I think you get the point by now. And I just want to make sure that you understand that everything you see on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, or any other social media, Facebook, whatever it is not always the best plan for you. So have a great week. If you have any questions about your fitness plan and you're a midlife woman, feel free to reach out to me, because the only programs I write are programs for midlife women, and I've been doing it for myself for, how long have I been in midlife? 20 years, for 20 years or more. So anyways, I will tell you that if you're serious about changing your body, this is what you need to do. All right, so have a great week. Thank you so much for listening, and ta-ta for now.